It was good, YouTube? What up, what up? So it's your boy Big Play here, coming back with another video. I'm just chilling here. I decided to make this video off the fly. I've just been thinking about what this defense is really gonna look like, and since I did a wide receiver one and like the overall wide receiver outlook, I kind of wanted to do one on the defensive side, and more focus on literally every position. And it's not like the positions that we already have and the players that we already have, the players that we added to the roster on the defensive side. We got one of the best statistical defensive ends over the last 2 years with Haason Reddick. We drafted Jordan Davis, arguably the best defensive tackle. I say arguably because there was another guy named Devontae Wyatt who played really well last year. And as much as I like Davis, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be good in this draft class or who's going to be bad because, I'm looking more off of upside and potential. And a lot of these guys are pro ready, a lot of aren't. And I'm not saying Davis isn't. But, obviously there's some signs there. Less, snap counts and stuff like that. But I'm not too worried about that. Let's just focus on Haason Reddick. We'll get to the Davis later in the video. So, Reddick, we picked him up this offseason. He was the first signing we made on the first day of free agency, and that was March. We signed him a month ago, and I'm just glad we got him, and he's on our team. If we're talking statistical defensive ends, he's had 23.5 sacks the last 2 seasons, and he just proves consistently that he's one of the best, I guess, hybrid defensive end drop back linebackers in the game. And he's coming into a situation where it's a hybrid defense from outside looking in. And if you really focus on what Howie Roseman said before the combine, you could tell it was like a hidden point that he said. Jonathan Gannon likes to switch up his scheme and make it hybrid and kind of like that. And Gannon runs a hybrid. Reddick is more in that hybrid role, suited to be in that role. I don't know. I felt like that's why we signed him. But let's touch on Kaiser White. And we signed Kaiser White to, I think it was a 1-year deal. I'm forgetting how much we signed him for off the top of my head, but someone could note that in the chat. That would be really well. I'll look up it after this video, but Kaiser White, he's gonna fill out that Alex Singleton slot. Singleton, he was like our outside linebacker, just a guy that played on that outside linebacking role. This was more of a tackling machine. Was more in that drop back linebacker situation. Whatever comes to him. And then sometimes we blitz him. And I think we're going to blitz Kaiser White a little bit in the scheme that we try to run. I think it's going to be a lot more defensive heavy this year. And a lot more stance switches on how the defense is going to be predicated. And White's going to be a big part of that. And I feel like this defense last year, the only reason they weren't as good as they were is because we didn't have the right players for the defense and the right players to fit the scheme. Now, I think we have some of the right players. We got Reddick. We just added White. We got Davis, Dean, and then a couple other guys in the UDFA. So we'll touch on that later. But White is going to help in so many ways. Last year he had about over 140 plus tackles. I believe he had 2 sacks. It might have been, and I think one of those sacks came on Mahomes too, if I'm not mistaken. So he possesses that speed. He's a physical player, scrappy player. He's definitely got that dog mentality, and he always wanted to be Eagle, and that's something I really like about him. And y'all know I didn't really focus on Kaiser White last year. I literally just started touching on him this offseason once I heard we picked him up, I was like, okay, we got him. I think he's going to fit our role and just scheme tremendously. But let's go to JD, Jordan Davis, number 90. Obviously the main issues with him is the snap count. You look at, like, just the snap count and then the weight. That's the biggest concerns with him. And I really don't think that's going to be a concern here, because if you look at what they had on that Georgia defense, like, bro, they had a legitimate squad on that defense. Dean, Quay Walker, Davis. Who did you also have? You had Darion Kendrick, Lewis Sine, Devontae White, of course. That defense was loaded. And you see why Jermaine Johnson transferred to Georgia. I said Georgia State. I meant to say, you see why Jermaine Johnson transferred to Florida State. I mean, he knew he wasn't going to get that much snap counts. And he knew he wasn't going to go a lot higher in the draft if he played at Georgia. So he went to Florida State. I guess not a smaller school, but smaller compared to Georgia. But he went to Florida State, right? The Seminoles. And he had a good season. But if you look at JD, focusing on JD, he is one of the best run stuffers in his class. He's got a lot of potential. From what I've seen from him on the snap counts that I did see, the potential is there. And he's going to evolve as a pass rusher. You're not going to always start off as a great pass rusher, especially as a defensive tackle. It comes with a lot of work, comes with a lot of just, like, build up, and you'll develop that strength in the future. Donald became one of the most prolific defensive tackles and prolific defenders in the game. Just players, in the game. Dude is a monster. And I'm not saying Davis will become Donald, but he's definitely got that potential to be a top 5 defensive tackle. He can be up there with those Kenny Clarks of the world, and those guys. But I gotta see some action on that field first. Let's go to Nicolby Dean right quick. You look at Nicolby Dean, and I told everyone we were gonna get this guy, and I really did not expect it to be in the 3rd round. I truly did not expect that. I knew we were gonna get him. I had that feeling. He just always felt like an Eagle to me. The time that I didn't think he was going to come to us, when the Patriots traded up 4 slots in front of us. And I really thought they were going to take Dean right there. He seems like a Patriot player as well, but they went up 4 slots, right? And they traded up for Tyquan Thornton. No lie, like, no disrespect to Thornton. I think he's got tremendous speed, but come on, bro. You could have got him in the later rounds. Like, the Patriot scouting is so much, like, different than how just regular NFL fans scout. And just actual NFL draft scout that don't scout for the Patriots. It's a lot different. And just the entire NFL scouting is different from what we see. But Dean, he had that lower pec, or I think it was that pec on his shoulder, and I guess they were saying, like, he fractured it, or it might have been it might have been in the game or something, but something happened, and he said he wasn't going to get surgery on it because he already played through it. And I think he played through a torn labrum too, if I'm not mistaken. He's 5'11", so he is a little bit undersized for his position, but that don't mean anything. The dude can ball. Like, I understand if you're going up against those, like, top-notch 6'8", 6'7", like Jordan Mailatas of the world, or like a Bakhtiari, or a 6'6", 6'7" over offensive lineman with some really good skill and just raw technique, and just, throws you away. Like, that's gonna suck. But you know what Nicolby Dean does? He gets back up and keeps going right back. Because he has that leader's mentality, he has that dog mentality, and he has that just knack. I feel like the guy is just so, like, blue chip. Like, he has that, he has that chip on his shoulder. He understands that. and I feel like he's gonna play with that. And I feel like that was just a tremendous pick. But I was so happy. Y'all need to go see my reaction, man. I was happy. But last guy that I'm gonna talk about and focus on is Jobe, the defensive back that we picked up, actually, the UDFA from Alabama. You know, Jobe, I feel like he has a lot of talent, bro. Physical, scrappy, guy that is just so technical with his hands. And I feel like some things that, you know, confused him was, I would say, a couple route concepts. Like, if you're cutting up, like, on a curl, or, like, faking a curl, or, like, you know, just a post out route, Jobe sometimes got faked by a couple routes like that. And, like, some intermediate routes, like, if it was a switch stance on a route, he kind of got confused or faked by that. So he'll have to work on that. But if we're talking just raw ability to just cover his side of the field, I think he's solid at that. It's not great. He's more of a zone guy, to be honest. I don't think he's a man guy. Man, he's just like, as I said, in some route concepts, he does get confused, get beat sometimes, but he should have got drafted. I'm not even gonna lie. In a zone scheme, I think this guy is perfect for whoever wants a guy like this. In a zone scheme, I think he'll have to develop that man skill, and you're not gonna get it right away. But as far as that, if we're just grading that defensive draft class for us, I think personally, it's got to be an A. An A+, it might be too, because you got arguably the best defensive tackle in the class, arguably the best linebacker in the class, when healthy, in the 3rd round. A guy that should have gotten drafted in Jobe went undrafted. Yeah, I felt like he should have gotten drafted, but hey man, I hope Jobe is a steal, and as I said, he's gonna develop that man, and it's gonna take time. Hopefully, Gannon gets it out of him. It's got to take a lot, too. Gannon is a cornerback guru, though. I will give him that. And then the last player that we got, especially on the defensive side in the draft, speaking of development, this is going to be one of those type of guys. We got Kyron Johnson, the defensive end, or I guess linebacker defensive end. We'll just call him a defensive end, outside linebacker. He's from the University of Kansas. He's a little bit undersized, but he plays with the chip. And he plays with the chip on his shoulder, like, every game. Now, the thing is, I will say about Kyron Johnson, he had a couple really good plays in the Senior Bowl. The thing is, like, he just had to finish. That's what he doesn't do. He doesn't finish. He got to close a lot of plays out. The thing with him is, like, he can, like show you flashes, but he won't finish. That's one thing I don't like about him. Like, I like the fact that he'll give me a pop play. Like, he'll excite you, but I got to, like, really completely see the full, like, entire, like, structure. What comes after that? Like, bro, he has that knack. I like the fact that he plays with that blue chip mentality, and I feel like he can be a dog. It's just about development with him. He has the flashes. He's got that pop to him, and he's got that glare. Like, you could see it in his game. Like, he's got raw talent that needs to be developed, and I think you can develop it. It's just that it comes with a lot of development. And I'm glad that we took a guy like this, because we can use him as depth, kind of like see what he does in the future, and we'll talk after that. But as far as this draft grade for defensive ends, or not defensive ends, overall defensive side for the Eagles, I would give it an A. You got arguably the best defensive tackle in the class. You got arguably the best linebacker in the class when fully healthy in the 3rd round. You got a cornerback that should have gotten drafted. But as far as that, I'm going to end this video off right here. Y'all have a good one. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.